Hello, Internet! It is the last night of Dr. Seuss month. It's near the end of July. Technically, the last night of July is tomorrow. But I'm not reading on a Saturday night. And we're going to read How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Ilyana looked at me a little bit ago and said, I'm surprised you're not reading How the Grinch Stole Christmas closer to Christmas. I said, we read Dr. Seuss in July. This is as close to Christmas as July gets. I don't know what more you want from me.
I chose that one.
Yes, Annabelle is the one who picked this book out to be read this month because they all kind of picked out a few books. Arthur picked most of them because he has all the books in his room. But Annabelle's like, we got to read How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I was like, yeah, we're reading it last because that's as close to Christmas as we're getting. So this is the last night of Dr. Seuss month. When we're done, we'll discuss next month. But let's begin How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Grinchy old Grinch. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. There's a who and a wreath. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one knows quite the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right, or it could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likeliest reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. There he is in his cave, looking all annoyed because Christmas is coming. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake up bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. And then, oh, the noise, noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise. That does look quite noisy.
I thought those were very noisy.
All right. There's a kid with drums, the whole thing. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. I like a good feast, man. Do you know Thanksgiving is the most popular holiday in America? It's not Christmas, it's Thanksgiving. Because in America, we also like a feast, is a thing.
It's actually my favorite holiday.
Sit us down for a big old dinner, everybody get happy. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing! Why, for 53 years I put up with it. Now I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? I'll show the kids. Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled and clucked, what a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Just want you all to remember, the Grinch, even at his Grinchiest, has a dog. So if you're one of those people who doesn't like dogs, you're worse than the Grinch. Something might be wrong. You might want to talk to a doctor. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Get up!" and the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. He does look a bit like Santa Claus.
I mean, he kind of is hurting his own dog.
All their windows were dark. Quiet snow filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, "This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. "These stockings," he grinned, "are the first things to go." What a Grinchy guy. What a Grinchy guy. He's not very nice at all. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycle, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycle, popcorns, and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all of the bags one by one up the chimney. You're a mean one. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. It's a sad day in Whoville. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. "And now," grinned the Grinch, "I will stuff up the tree." And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" Little Cindy Lou Who. But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the fake Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side, so I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink, and he sent her to bed. When Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Now he's not just a thief, he's a liar too. He's lying to children. This is terrible. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that was left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Man, it's rough. It's rough. It's mean. You're downright terrible. Oh, excuse me. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. Tear. It was 1:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. That sled looks awful loaded down. I feel bad for poor Max trying to pull that up the hill. 3,000 feet up. Up the side of Mount Crumpet he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-pooh to the whoos, he was grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the whoos down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo! Not a very nice Grinch. That's probably why he's a Grinch. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry, but it couldn't be so. But it was merry, very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes, then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Even the dog looked surprised. Max is like, what up? What up, Grinch Daddy? What's going on? Every who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or some other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's heart grew 3 whole sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. And that is the end of Dr. Seuss Month. Thanks everybody that's watched, commented. Appreciate y'all. Next month, I'm so excited. I found this on Amazon. Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. There are 211 fairy tales and legends in this book. The originals by the Brothers Grimm. I'm really excited to read these. I used to be a big fairy tale person. I'm sorry. Here.
That's a big number.
Here. You talk and I'll just sit back. Are you doing the video tonight? I didn't realize. Okay, go sit down. Hey. So I'm really excited to read these. Yeah, I used to be a big fairy tale guy, and I used to know a bunch of these, and I know that they don't end quite the same way they do in Disney movies. So it'll be interesting, it'll be fun, and we're going to start that Sunday night. I've decided instead of doing this Monday through Friday thing, I'm going to do Sunday through Thursday, and it's going to be like bedtime on school nights for my kids. So we're going to start Sunday night. For now, we'll keep it at 9, because it is still summertime here. They go back to school on August 16th, so that Sunday night before that, I'll probably start doing 8 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock, so they can get in bed in plenty of time to have a great morning at school the next day. But appreciate everybody who watches, like, subscribe, comment, ring that notification bell, said the YouTuber. But join us every night for the next 211 Sunday through Thursdays for a fairy tale. We're going to read this for a whole school year. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about it. Good night, everyone.